Hello students, and welcome back to Hexxit Education. This is going to be an updated version of lesson number 10 on the chisel and the excavator. Truth be told, a number of weeks ago I put out lesson number 10, and I really just evaded the whole idea of the chisel because this is Hexxit. And Hexxit is really all about adventure. But I have been getting a couple of comments, and I kind of noticed that there was a lack of chisel videos on YouTube in general. And I can see why no one's really attempted to make a tutorial video specifically on the chisel from Tinker's Construct, because it is very, very confusing. It uses multiple methods of making bricks, most of which are not reversible, so you have to sort of work upwards in order to get them. So today's lesson is going to be primarily on the chisel. We'll cover the excavator briefly afterwards, but as has been said, it doesn't actually need much explanation. So without further ado, let's head out to our trade house and check out the chisel. Okay, so the chisel. And for this one, I'm going to be showing you a manual chisel. As far as I can tell, the material involved in making a chisel is largely irrelevant, except that it affects its durability. The reason is that the chisel is a purely decorative item. It's not useful for doing anything else other than changing one type of block into another one. So here's the recipe for it. It just takes a chisel head and a tool rod. And what I'm going to be using right now is the manual chisel. You probably need anything even really that strong, but if you make a manulin, it will last you for the rest of the game. I've tried it out with wooden chisels. They don't really last for long. You maybe get 10 uses out of them before they start to degrade. So, what is a chisel? A chisel is an advanced detailing tool for carving shapes into blocks. You right-click it to transform various blocks into bricks. However, crafting grid, chisel. Some items can only be chiseled in the crafting grid. That is correct. So I'm going to go through this as far as I understand it. And right now I have listed out here, or placed out here, all the different blocks which can be transformed by the chisel. They are in order: stone or smooth stone, sandstone, redstone, gold, iron, diamond, netherrack, obsidian, lapis, emerald, end stone. This is seared stone, which is actually a re-smelted version of seared bricks. Slime bricks. This is made from 4 green slimes. You can also find the bricks themselves in native form in the slime islands. This is bone brick. You actually get this by crafting a manual chisel with bone in your inventory to get this first version. And this is brownstone. We haven't actually talked about this because it's a pretty decorative piece, but it is actually made in the smeltery by putting, I believe, gravel through that. So we'll get to that in just a moment. So let me show you what happens when I just hold right-click on each of these in turn. So, okay, so I just turned stone into stone brick, but press it again. This turns it into, I'm pretty sure this is fancy stone brick. No, okay, so I believe this is okay, sorry about that. I believe this is a stone road, and we got this up from the stone brick. So we can press it again, and this is, I believe, fancy stone brick. I think it goes one more time. Okay, and this is the final form, which you recognize as chiseled stone. But press it again, doesn't do anything. I'm pretty sure it's not taking any of my durability away. No, it's not. But you cannot go any farther than this. And as far as I can tell, you cannot go backwards. But I'm going to test that right now. I don't think you can, though. So I'm going to put make that way. Take a chiseled stone brick, put it in a crafting table with this, and it's not giving me any possibilities here. Stone. Next up, we have sandstone, and I apologize for the lack of detailed information as to what turns into what, but really this is pretty confusing to me, and there wasn't a lot of information I could find. So let's see what happens when you take sandstone, which was just made with 4 pieces of sand, and hit it with the chisel. Okay, that's smooth sandstone. That is chiseled sandstone. That is sandstone brick. that is, I believe, fancy sandstone brick, and that's as far as it goes. Okay, next up, redstone block. It's made with 9 redstone. Oh, it's interesting. I think we found one of our first problems here. So when you right-click on redstone, it does not work. However, when you take a redstone and put it into a crafting grid, actually, let me test one other thing while we're at it. Okay, so it does not work in your crafting inventory within your profile, but it should work. Okay, so I found what I was doing wrong there. The correct crafting recipe for making redstone brick is not a block of redstone, which actually makes it much cheaper. It is actually 1 redstone dust to make a redstone brick. And let me just show you what this looks like. Very nice, actually. I can imagine that being an interesting alternative to regular bricks if you can't find enough clay. Now, however, the next step beyond that, you take the redstone brick, put it back in the crafting inventory, and you get fancy redstone brick. And I think this is as far as it goes. So let me just put this on top. Yeah, that looks kind of cool. And let me just verify that it doesn't go any farther than that. It does not. Okay, so next up we have gold, a block of gold. No effect. But let's see what happens when we put this into the crafting table. We get nothing. And I'm willing to bet what you actually need are gold ingots. So let's see what happens when I do this. Yep. Okay, so when you take a gold ingot and put it in a crafting table with the chisel, you get gold bricks. And when you put them, and when you take a gold brick and put it in the inventory, you get fancy gold brick. And just as I can verify, there's not another stage. Okay. So for comparison, this is gold brick, and this is fancy gold brick. So essentially, it's the same as the redstone, and it's considerably cheaper because it doesn't actually use a block of gold. Okay, next up is iron and diamond. And diamond. Yep, just as I suspected. These are not the basis for making the iron and diamond bricks, which is good because even in Hexxit these are still somewhat hard to come by. So let's get some iron in here. So we take the iron with a chisel and a crafting table, we get iron bricks. We take the iron bricks, put it in the crafting table, and we get fancy iron brick. And just to verify, it does not go any farther. Okay, and now we put diamond into it. We get diamond brick. Put that in a second time. We get fancy diamond brick. And it does not go any farther either. Okay, so I think we're seeing a pattern here among the sort of gemstone quality blocks. So this is an iron brick. This is a diamond brick. Fancy iron, fancy diamond. All right, next up we have netherrack. Okay, I'm looking in the NEI and I'm not seeing a recipe for netherrack brick. So unless this is listed in the materials in U, but I'm pretty sure it isn't. Let me check the back. I think that was a recipe for brownstone. Unless I'm looking in the wrong thing. So go back to sheet mode. Grab a mighty smelting. Let's check this. Actually, it might be in the front here. No, it's not. Okay, here's the seared stone we were talking about a moment ago. You make end stone out of blood and obsidian. Brownstone requires liquid tin and gravel. Clear glass, we already covered that. But it is not showing me... Okay, so the only conclusion I can draw is that this item is incomplete. It's probably a work in progress. So at the moment, you do not have access to Netherrack brick. Which is unfortunate because it looks kind of cool. Here, let me show you what it would look like if we did have access to it. Brick and fancy brick. I like that. It looks like a Tetris piece. Okay, next up we have obsidian. So let's hit it with the chisel once. Okay, and it's turns to do obsidian brick. Kind of cool. It's like it really brings out the purplish tones of the obsidian. Okay, we hit it again. Fancy obsidian brick. I like this. It's almost like Celtic knot kind of thing. Yeah, and let me check again, but that's as far as it goes. Okay, next up we have lapis. Now let's see what happens when we hit it with this with the chisel. Nothing. So now let's see what happens when we put lapis in the crafting inventory with the chisel. We get lapis brick. And when we hit it, we do it again. We get fancy lapis brick. So I'm gonna assume at this point that this is the only one. So yeah, it's the same as the other gemstone bricks, which makes sense in a way. Okay, next up we have emerald. No effect. Okay, a slight mistake on my part. There is actually no chisel recipe involving emerald. So that was a mistake on my part. Sorry about that. Next up, we have endstone. Hit it once, becomes endstone brick. Hit it again, becomes fancy endstone brick. And it does not hit a third time. Okay, next up, we have seared stone. Now, okay, and I'm back. Sorry about that. I came over here to our smelter to do a couple of experiments, and as far as I can tell, seared stone is a work in progress. So the recipe in Mighty Smelting says ingredients seared stone, and you get seared stone. However, there's no way, as far as I can tell, to make seared stone. First, I thought it would maybe if you put seared bricks into the smeltery, it might work. And that doesn't work at all. Doesn't melt. I tried seared bricks, the block, and I thought that might work, but no, that doesn't melt either. So yeah, as far as I can tell, this is a work in progress. It may be fixed in a later version, but the version in Hexxit does not contain seared stones. You can still, however, use seared bricks, and I just see what happens when you use those. I'm not going to mess with this because I don't know what's going to happen if I use chiseled. If I try and chisel this thing, it might break the multi-block. But let's see what happens when I put this. I'll put it right here. The seared bricks. Oh, it switched through two different stages. So it went straight from fancy brick to polished fancy brick. And it went to chiseled seared brick. So you still have a couple of things you can make from seared bricks, but unfortunately seared stone is not currently available. Okay, next up we have green slime. No, this is a block of green slime, not blue slime. No effect. Okay, let's see what happens. I think I can break this with just my hand. So it might only need one to work. So let's see. Putting it into the inventory. Nothing. Okay, let's try individually. So green slime. Make slime brick. And fancy slime brick. And make sure it doesn't go another time. Okay, so we have this is a similar one for the gemstones. Slime brick and fancy slime brick. Oh, not exactly the same, but similar. Okay, next up we have bone brick. Now I had to put this block here because I know this for a fact. This one is made by putting bone in a crafting table with the chisel. So put it in here. We get bone brick. Put the bone brick in, and you get fancy bone brick. And I'm pretty sure it doesn't go a third time. Nope. So bone brick is over here, and fancy bone brick. Okay, so this is somewhat similar to the end stone we saw right here. Cool. Okay, and last up is brownstone. Now brownstone, we didn't cover this before we talked about the smeltery, but it is made using. I just skipped it. Here we go. Okay, so you take, as far as I can tell, you put liquid tin and gravel. So I think this means you take liquid tin, you melt tin in the smeltery, then put gravel into the crafting basin, then cover it. You know what? Let me show you, just to make sure this isn't bugged as well. Okay, so I'm back at our smeltery, and as you can see, I have 1 ingot's worth of molten tin already melted. And I'm going to put 1 piece of gravel into the casting basin and see what happens. We have brownstone. Okay, I can confirm that brownstone, in this case what we have first is rough brownstone, and then what you do, if I'm understanding this correctly, where is it? There you go. Yeah, you take brownstone. This is actually rough brownstone, but you take rough brownstone and put it into a furnace. Sorry, it turns it from rough brownstone into regular brownstone, so normal brownstone. Okay, we're back over here. I just want to show you the difference in appearance. So this is rough brownstone. This is what you get from taking the tin and the gravel, making it through the smeltery. This is normal brownstone. So a little bit different in appearance. I'm pretty sure you take the normal brownstone and hit it with the chisel. So let's see what happens. Well, actually, first I want to check the rough brownstone. Okay, it turned into rough brownstone brick and nothing else. So we hit a regular brownstone with it. Turns into regular brownstone brick, and then fancy brownstone brick, and then chisel brownstone brick. So the rough brownstone can only be turned into rough brick. The normal one can turn into several different forms. So therein is the difference. Okay, so after our exhaustive lesson on the chisel, although I'm sure I missed a couple of things, this is a pretty confusing decorative piece of machinery. I'm going to briefly talk about the excavator once it stops raining. And I'm just going to bring out an alumite excavator and show you the recipe for it. The excavator is a very useful tool, but primarily it's used for, well, let me put it this way. The excavator is, if I can find it, here we go. Large digging tool used for clearing out large swaths of land, gravel, or snow. It is an upgraded shovel, and it's actually fairly expensive because the excavator head and large plate both require 8 ingots worth of material. And tough binding requires 3, and so does a tough rod. So it ain't cheap. But if you want to expand your base, or if you happen to be, I don't know, clearing out a basement or something, it's very useful. Well, what it does is it mines in a 3x3 area. So if I go like this, by point downwards, it just did 1 by 1 because there was nothing else on the other sides of it. But if I do over here and press down, it mined on a 3x3 around me. Now it's important to note that it depends on which direction you're pointing. So if I were to look at this block right here, it mined a 3x3 that is 2 here, 1 layer here, 1 layer here, and 1 above, but nothing present at that level. So very useful tool. not terribly useful in terms of Hexxit, in terms of adventuring everything, but useful for base building, as is the chisel with its kaleidoscope of different materials that you can build various things out of. So, in summation, I just wanted to go over one more time the materials that you can use to make different blocks using the chisel. That is stone, sandstone, redstone, gold, iron, diamond. Currently, the netherrack is not functioning, but is what it looks like. Obsidian, lapis, endstone, seared bricks, not seared stone, just seared bricks, slime, bone, and brownstone, both rough and regular brownstone. Okay, so this concludes lesson, I guess it'd be updated, lesson 10 updated of Hexxit Education. This has been Kankadia, class dismissed.